Xbox is doing a lot this year, and so many changes are coming that it's honestly difficult to track and react to them all. But there's one I see talked about mainly for the consumer side, but not the business side. That's what I want to talk about today. Xbox seems to have a focus on data similar to that of social media platforms. Social media has always been a business that makes its users the product. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok use this particular business practice. If somehow, some way in 2025, you aren't familiar with this business practice, the way these platforms operate is they basically data farm you by tracking everything you do on their platform. For example, if I stop scrolling on Twitter to look at some post, they see how long I looked at that. If I click on it, they see that. If I like it, comment on it, or even scroll right by it, they know how I interacted with that exact post, or the lack of interaction it gave them. The point of this is multifaceted. The algorithm uses this data to understand what you like, and then it feeds more of that and less of what you don't. This is so you want to stay on their platform longer, and the longer you stay, the more data they get to farm from you. The more data they farm off of you, the more sales. These platforms sell your data to other companies in which they get to understand how to appeal to you particularly, and in which we get what's called targeted advertising. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, we can get to why this is important, because yes, this is a video about gaming and more particularly about Xbox. But before I go any further, welcome one, welcome all. I am your Statistax. I talk all things gaming. I love talking about Borderlands when there's things to talk about with Borderlands. But don't worry, I talk about plenty of other games as well. So be sure to get subbed because I have the goal, which hopefully I can reach, to get 1,000 subs by the end of the year, a lofty goal for me and my small channel. But I appreciate if y'all could help me out, hook me up, and let me hear what you have to say about this topic as we go further in. So let's get back into it. And I kind of started thinking about all of this whole like data-driven Xbox business practice now. I was listening to the Defining Duke podcast, and they talked about AI and such, and talked about lowering the skill barrier for entry to gaming. This got me thinking because what seems to be happening in the gaming industry is stagnation. The younger generation is more into scrolling on their phones than learning how to play a game. One way Xbox seems to be attempting to lower the barrier is with their AI Copilot. They showcase this in a couple of ways where players can use Copilot essentially as a coach for gaming. One way they showed was with Marvel Rivals, and it basically just fed the person info to use the best character and took all the discovery and learning process out of the experience, so he could just jump right into the meta. The other way was with Minecraft, and they showed Copilot telling the person how to craft certain things, where to find certain materials, but if you wanted exact location, you had to turn cheats on. This is one way Xbox is seeking growth in the gaming industry, but we won't know how well it works for some time. I have no idea when this stuff becomes available for use, but my guess is this is all stuff they plan to introduce more with their next-gen console. Which, speaking of, a quick side note, I didn't initially actually even have this as part of the video, but I'd like to talk about it, is the handheld. That is another way that Xbox is looking to grow their market and lower the barrier, so to speak, because it's a smaller market, and I think Xbox is the brand that will make the PC handheld market be a lot larger. I think it'll really explode with an Xbox branded handheld, and not the PC handheld that we have leaked so far, but the one after that they'll probably launch with their next gen Xbox, which is going to play more like an actual Xbox with like an Xbox UI and all that stuff, which I can't wait to see. I've been so excited to see Xbox take Windows and more UIify it for a controller and everything, and I want competition in this market. I want this market to grow. I have a Steam Deck and I love it, but I want this handheld market to grow. The handheld market was huge when I was a kid, and having one again is a little nostalgic, not gonna lie, but also it's just amazing because I can bring it wherever I go and I have something with me to play games. If, like say I'm in the doctor's office and I'm waiting, I can just take that out and play some games, and wherever I am, I always have it on me because if I'm bored, I just play it. Anyways, getting sidetracked, I can't wait to see what Xbox does to improve the handheld market. I hope they bring some great stuff with them for this. Okay, so anyways, but my next guess, is that they will introduce the AI stuff like Copilot and all that more so in their next generation of consoles, because that's going to have more of the technology equipped to deal with all of that. So the use of AI is one way they plan to grow their brand. But let's go back to my talk about data, because AI is one way they intend to use that data for sure. We've seen them talk about using AI for game development and using that data to figure out things like which path in a game should be more lucrative based on the path most taken. And then the AI develops the paths and decides what goes where based on the player data. Something we've been seeing for a while though, and you all can call me stupid because it just dawned on me that Xbox sells their data just like these social media platforms I talked about before. Now, it's not exactly like the social media platforms because Xbox can't really sell this data to other companies because, at least as far as I know, it has no value outside of their company. Companies outside of gaming don't care about how you went about beating that boss, how many hours you put in, and how many times you played that game. This data is quote-unquote sold to their shareholders. Xbox is publicly traded, so they have to answer to the suits and satisfy that need for growth. And while everyone trashes on the idea that, quote-unquote, this is an Xbox, what they are actually doing is satiating the suits all day long without really having to lift a finger. Xbox is famously known for sharing engagement rather than true numbers, and while it's frustrating for us consumers, it's actually quite genius on the business end because they can share how many people play the game and it doesn't matter where, as long as they are logged into an Xbox account. People logging in to play Forza on PS5 are now Xbox players, according to the stats they show the suits. This is the practice they borrowed from the social media business. They aren't selling games anymore, they are selling the data that you played Xbox, or better yet, as Phil loves to say, in their ecosystem. Xbox has a great habit of living and speaking far ahead of the times, and it tends to hurt them, but now I'm finally seeing the quote-unquote ecosystem come together. The ecosystem is Game Pass, but it's much more than that. Xbox is aiming to grow beyond their console. They couldn't get people to abandon their Xbox, they couldn't get Game Pass on other consoles, so they brought their data farming to you instead. This worked out in a way because if you want to enjoy Game Pass, you need an Xbox. If you want to play their game on your preferred not Xbox, you buy the game and they still get their data. This also ties into how they plan for Steam on an Xbox to make them money. At least that's my guess. Plus the sale. My hope with this realization, as they expand their engagement numbers by just having people on other consoles / PC log in to play their game, is that they are able to be more creative without suits breathing down their necks. In my opinion though, the flaw to this hope is that Microsoft has shown they are incapable of being creative, and to me they have yet to prove when it comes to their first-party studios that they can actually deliver a great game. They own so many great engines, and yet they choose to go with the one they don't own on almost every project, Unreal Engine. Even Halo is moving to Unreal, which I'm personally really disappointed by. If I ever see that Doom moves to Unreal, I will rip and tear Microsoft apart, but that's a topic for a different video. With that, I leave it to you guys. What do you think about the future of Xbox? Do you think this Copilot stuff is any ounce of good? Do you think the engagement business model is going to be what keeps Xbox going rather than focusing on game sales? Do you think it's had any effect on their quality of games? Let me know down below. Get subbed if you enjoyed the content. Again, goal 1,000 subs by the end of the year, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.